As per European Union, the cosmetics is defined as any substance or preparation intended to be placed in contact with various external parts of human body, like epidermis, hair system, nails, lips, and external genital organs, or with the teeth and the mucous membrane of the oral cavity, with a view mainly to cleaning them, perfuming them, or changing their appearance, or correcting body odors, or protecting them, or keeping them in a good condition. This terminology, cosmeceuticals, was coined in 1980s by the dermatologist whose name was Albert Kingman. About skin, skin is the largest organ of the body, accounting for about 15% of the total adult body weight. It protect it protects against external particles. It prevents excessive water loss from the body, and it helps in thermoregulation process. About the structure of skin, all of you know there are three parts, like epidermis. Epidermis is the outer layer which is responsible for color. Second layer is dermis, called as the dermis. Dermis contains hair follicles and sweat glands. And third layer is called as the hypodermis. That hypodermis is made up of fat or connective tissue. You can see here the diagrammatic representation or the structure of skin. As epidermis is the outer layer of skin, acts as a barrier to various infections. The epidermis is made up of keratinized stratified squamous epithelial cells. These cells are formed by mitosis in basal layer, then get pushed into more superficial layers of strata. It is a vascular layer that depends on blood vessels in underlying dermis for its nutrition purpose. Here you can see the structure of epidermis, and next layer is the dermis. Also, about the structure of epidermis, in last slide, the epidermis contains five major layers. These are stratum basal, or it is called as the stratum germinativum. Second layer of epidermis is called as the stratum spinosum. Third layer is called as the stratum granulosum. Fourth layer is called as the stratum lucidum, and last layer, that is stratum corneum. These are the five various layers of the epidermis. You can see these five layers in this diagrammatic representation of the structure of epidermis. The second layer of skin, that is called as the dermis. Dermis is a middle layer of skin that contains nerves, hair roots, sweat glands, oil glands, and blood vessels. This dermis is made up of dense, irregular connective tissue having collagen and fibers separated from epidermis by basement membrane. Dermis is a highly vascular and highly innervated. It contains sensory receptors for touch, pressure, or any vibration, pain, and temperature also. About hypodermis, This hypodermis is present below the dermis. This is the last layer, that is hypodermis, that present below the dermis. This is deep to skin and also known as the subcutaneous tissue. It consists of layers of fats and adipose tissue. The main cells present are fibroblast, adipose tissue, macrophages. The function of this layer is function as a energy source by storing the fat. The types of skin. Number one is oily skin. They have the large pores, shiny complexation, blackheads, pimples by the sebaceous glands. Oiliness of skin can be increased by the factors like stress, hormones, heat, as well as humidity. Second type is a combination skin. It is oily in some areas like chin, nose, forehead, but may be dry in some areas like cheeks. The another type is a normal skin. It has a medium level of oil and water. It is not shiny or oily because of oil glands are not highly active. The another type is a sensitive skin. It show redness, itching, dryness. It can be irritated in response to certain skincare products. Next is the dry skin. It is also known as xerosis. The dry skin also known as xerosis. Here there is a low level of sebum present. Usually this dry skin feels tight and uncomfortable. There may be chapping and cracking. These are the signs of extremely dry, dehydrated skin. About 10 to 20% of water contained in stratum corneum is required to keep skin soft and liable. That means 10 to 20% of water is required in a stratum corneum layer to keep skin soft. The barrier alteration cause increase in transepidermal water loss. This result in drying out, precipitating dry skin condition. This dry skin feels like taut, rough, and very itchy. There are various causes for this xerosis. This includes the oil glands do not supply enough lubrication to skin, which result in dehydration. Another factor is environmental factors like low humidity, wind, cold weather. That also leads to dry skin. Another reason is poor diet, nutritional deficiency. Majority of vitamin A and vitamin B can lead to dry skin. And some genetic conditions are also responsible for this xerosis or dry skin. Facial skin been washed with surfactant based products that often experience temporary tightness sensation. Medications, cosmetics, and medical conditions like diabetes, hypothyroidism, and malnutrition that also lead to xerosis or dry skin. The another problem that we have to discuss here, that is acne vulgaris. Acne vulgaris is an inflammation skin condition that occurs when oil and dead skin cell blocks the pore opening, that openings that may be blocked, that causing sebum to build up inside the pore. Or acne is a chronic disease. You can say this is a chronic disease which is caused by inflammation of the sebaceous gland. People with acne have larger sebaceous glands that release more sebum into the skin. High sebum and keratinization result in formation of plug in pores that gives rise to block hair follicles. The accumulation of sebum that encourages proliferation of anaerobic bacteria, pro, that is Probrinybacterium acne, that is a P. acnes, Staphylococcus albus. Bacteria produce lipase enzyme that hydrolyze triglycerides in sebum to produce free fatty acids and glycerol. Acne causes a variety of flares like blackheads, whiteheads, pimples, nodules, and cysts. It affects 80% teenagers and many adults due to hormonal changes. The various causes like heat, humidity, ultraviolet light, uh, cosmetic, and excessive use of surfactant that can cause this infection. Stress may aggravate skin by triggering the release of androgen and cortisol, which can stimulate excessive oil production and mix with dead finally promotes bacterial growth to develop the acne. This is a pictorial representation of various stages of acne development. This is called as the acne life cycle. Stage one is clogged pores, clogged pore cells lining pore shade and mix with excess sebum produced by the sebaceous glands, forming a plug that leads to clogged pores. In a second stage, bacteria accumulate sebum and dead cells and attract the bacteria that is naturally found in skin, which feeds an oil and multiply rapidly inside pores. In stage 3, inflammation, this is called as inflammation. This bacterial overgrowth triggers the natural inflammatory response, causing swelling and redness. This can ultimately lead to discoloration and scarring. The types of acne. First type is a papule. Papule is a small red raised bump around the hair follicle. That is called as a papule. This is one of the type of acne. Second is pustule. Pustule is a red bump with a white pus head at the tip. That is called as a pustule. The third acne type is nodule. Nodule is an infection or blockage deep within the hair follicle that causes a solid closed lump under the skin. That is called as a nodule. And the last type is called as a cyst. Cyst is a this is a painful closed lump under the skin that filled with a pus-like nodule. That is called as a cyst. These are various types, basic four types of acne. The second problem that we have to we are discussing here, that is pigmentation. Pigmentation is a skin-related problem. Pigmentation means coloring. Skin gets its color from pigment that is called melanin. Pigmentation occurs due to deposition of melanin, which is produced by specialized cells that are called as melanocytes within the melanosome and transferred to keratinocytes. There are various types of pigmentation. Number one is hyperpigmentation. Again, hyperpigmentation are categorized into the freckles, lentigo, post-inflammatory pigmentation, melasma. These are hyperpigmentations. And hypopigmentation. Vitiligo. Vitiligo is a hypopigmentation. These are freckles. This you can see here uh, the freckles type of pigmentation in this diagram. It is the most common type of pigmentation. It is also known as epilytes. They are circular spot. You can see here. They are a circular spot, usually tan or light brown in color. They may appear darker during sunny months and fade in winter season. They develop after repeated exposure to sunlight, particularly if anyone have fair complexation. And these freckles, uh, they develop majorly on nose, on this portion. The second one is lentigo. Lentigo is also called as solar lentigens or sunspots. They are also termed as liver spots. Usually, their color may vary from light brown to black, and these spots are caused by ultraviolet UV rays exposure from sun. People with lighter skin tone are said to be more prone to sunspots. This must be monitored as they may develop into the skin cancer or melasma. This sunspot or this lentigo you can see here in this diagram. Next type is post-inflammatory pigmentation. It is a response to injury of skin and can be result of acne, burns, and friction. This skin condition increase the production of pigments that causes dark spots, and this type of pigmentation results in a tan, brown, or black color to the skin. It can be caused due to cosmetics, laser treatments, or combination therapy. Types of post-inflammatory pigmentation are classified into epidermal. Epidermal is surface layer. It can be tan, brown, or dark brown in color. And dermal is the inner layer. It can be bluish gray in color. It may take months to year to get rid of it, and maybe permanent if it is left untreated. This is a picture of melasma pigmentation. This is the pigmentation deeper in the skin dermis layer, and this melasma is common among the people with a darker skin tone. It generally appears on face as larger brown patches. You can see here in this diagram the larger brown patches with a non-distinct border. It is caused due to increased sun exposure. Sun exposure is responsible for that melasma, and the mechanism probably involve overproduction of melanin by hyperfunctional melanocytes. And other than sun exposure, aggravation factors, which includes autoimmune thyroid disorder and photosensitizing drugs, are responsible for this pigmentation. Usually, this deeper pigmentation appears across the upper cheeks, forehead, upper lip, and chin areas. And last pigmentation type, that is vitiligo. It is a type of hypopigmentation disorder. It is an acquired pigmentary anomaly of the skin, which is characterized by depigmented patches surrounded by the normal border. And these lesions are hypersensitive to ultraviolet light and burn easily when exposed to sun. The major cause of this pigmentation, hypopigmentation disorder, is genetic or autoimmune hypothesis or neurogenic hypothesis. Another skin related problem that is prickly heat. It is also called as a you can see heat rash or miliaria. You can see in this diagrammatic representation. It is a itchy inflammation of superficial layer of skin, typically with rash of small vesicles. This infection is common in hot humid weather. They are red bumps. You can see here. They are red bumps on skin and itchy or prickly feeling of the skin. This malaria or heat rash is very common in summer days or summer months, particularly in a humid climate. And these conditions are usually self-limited and resolve in hours to few days without any particular treatment. Any body part can be affected. Majorly face, neck, back, abdomen, elbow, folds, groins can be affected by this heat rash. The various causes of this malaria or heat rash. It is caused by trapped sweat. When the body is hot, the sweat gland get activated to produce sweat on skin. When body kept in warm state, the constant sweat production can overload sweat glands. This can also cause the sweat duct to get blocked by trapping sweat in deep layers of skin with the help of bacteria. And this trapped sweat irritates the skin by forming the rash on it. The most common trigger for prickly heat is exposure to heat for a long time. These are various types of heat rash you can see in this diagrammatic representation. That first type is the clear, that is called as Milaria crystallinea. The second is the red in color, Milaria rubra. White or yellow, that is Milaria pustulosa. Next is the deep Milaria profunda. These are the various types of the heat rash. The clear first type is called as the clear type, Milaria crystallinea. It sometimes called as the Milaria sudamina. This happens when the blockage of sweat ducts occurs at a closer surface of skin. The rash is like tiny clear spots and may look like beads of sweat. It might be least each condition or no each at all. The spot the spot tend to disappear within a few hours or few days. The second red type is the most common type. It is caused when the blockage of the sweat ducts occurs at a deeper part of the outer layer of skin, that is epidermis. The drops of tiny red bumpy spot develop. The rash may occur within the days of coming into the hot climate. However, the rash doesn't appear until weeks or months have passed in a hot climate. The rash tend to go within a few days if you get out of the hot environment and stop sweating. On the affected area, area of skin there is a reduced amount of sweat or no sweat at all. In that condition, you can minimize this malaria, rubra type of heat rash. The white or yellow, that is malaria, pustulosa, in this type, the bumps on the skin become infected with the bacteria living on the skin surface. The fluid inside the bumps contain pus, and in the last type, that is the deep type malaria profunda, it is uncommon and caused when the blockage of sweat ducts occurs at the level of middle layer of skin, that is dermis. It is typically occurs in people who live in a hot climate, who repeatedly had malaria rubra. Another problem which is related to skin, that is wrinkles. Wrinkles are known as a rhytide. It is a fold, ridge, or crease on the skin that is called as a rhytide or wrinkles. This wrinkles on skin is promoted by habitual facial expression, aging, poor hydration, sun damage, smoking, and other various factors are responsible for that. Wrinkles are formed when the skin loses its elasticity. Skin retain the lines resulting from smiling and other facial expressions. Over, over the time, these lines deepen into face and form the wrinkles. The first wrinkles appear in a uh, weak skin tissues around the eyes, cheeks, and around the lips. The causes for this wrinkle: smoking, exposure to ultraviolet light, repeated facial expression, and the age. These are some common causes for this wrinkle. Another problem, that is body odor. It is perceived unpleasant smell that body can give when bacteria present on skin breakdowns the sweat into acid. This body odor caused by a combination of sweat and bacteria normally found in the skin. Emotional factors like anxiety, stress, embarrassment, that leads to excessive sweat secretion. Illness and medications also can cause excessive sweating. And this is the hereditary problems. Hereditary problem. These are some various causes of excessive sweating. The another part that we have to discuss uh, is hair. What is hair? Hair, it is one of the defining characteristics of mammals. It is a protein filament that grown from follicles, which is found in a dermis. It is important biomaterial primarily composed of keratin protein, and this hair is act as a barrier to foreign particles. You should also know the various functions of hair: thermoregulation, facilitation for evaporation of perspiration, protection against foreign particles. These are some functions of hair. About the structure of hair, you can see in this diagrammatic representation. This hair is divided into two separate structures. Number one is a hair root, which is located below the epidermis, and second part, that is hair shaft. which is located above the epidermis. Hair follicle, it is a tube-like pocket. You can see here in this diagram. It is tube-like pocket in the skin or the scalp that contains the hair root. Hair bulb, it is the lowest part of strand of hair, which is thickened and club shaped. The dermal papilla is a small cone-shaped elevation which is located at the base of the hair follicle that fits into the hair bulb. Erector pili muscle. This is small involuntary muscle in the base of hair follicle. You can see here. When it contracts, we get goosebumps. Sebaceous gland, they are oily gland in the skin that are connected to the hair follicles, and it secretes the sebum. About this hair shaft, hair cuticle is the outermost layer of hair, which consists of a single overlapping layers of transparent scale-like cell. It protects inner structure of hair, creates shiny and smoothness. It doesn't contain melanin. Cortex, middle layer of hair. 90% of total hair weight comes from this part. Elasticity and color are results of this protein in the cortex. It contains moisture and determine texture of hair, and it contains natural pigment that is called as a melanin. Medulla is the innermost layer of hair. Usually, it is present in thick and coarse hair. It doesn't possess any use, hence it is not always present. Melanin are tiny grains of pigment in the cortex that give hair its natural color. Eumelanin provides natural dark brown to black hair color. Pheomelanin provides natural colors regime which range from red to yellow color. These are various pigments, hair pigments, melanin, eumelanin, pheomelanin. These are the types of hair pigments. About the types of hair, basically two types, vellus hair and terminal hair. Vellus hair are short, fine, unpigmented, downy, and usually appears on the parts of body that they are normally considered as hairless regions like forehead, bald scalp, eyelids. These are vellus hair. It doesn't possess medulla. It helps with the evaporation of the perspiration or sweat. Uh, Women normally have 55% more vellus as compared to the men. And second type is the terminal hair. They are long, coarse, pigmented hair found on the scalp, legs, and arms. These are called as the terminal hair. It is present in bodies of both male and female. It consists of medulla. About the growth cycle of hair, hair growth cycle have three stages. First stage is the anagen phase, that is called as a growth phase also. Second is the catagen phase, that is a regression, called as the regression phase also. And third phase is the telogen phase, that is the resting or shading, rest or shading phase. This anagen phase is a growth phase. In this phase, where the hair physically grows approximately 1 to 1.5 centimeter long per month, It begins in the papilla and can last from 2 to 6 years. As far as the hair stays in this phase, longer it will grow. And during this phase, the cells in the papilla divide to form new hair fibers and follicles, buries itself into the dermal layer of skin to nourish gland. About 80 to 85% of hair present on head are in anagen phase. About catagen phase, this is a transition stage. At the end of anagen, mitotic activity of matrix cell is diminished and follicle enters a highly controlled involuntary phase that known as catagen. And the first sign of catagen is the stoppage of melanin production in hair bulb and apoptosis of follicular melanocytes. Ultimately, the follicle is one-sixth of its original length, causing the hair shaft to be pushed upward. This phase lasts approximately 2 weeks in humans, regardless of the site and follicle type. And the last phase is the telogen phase. This phase is it's defined as the duration between the complexation follicular regression and the onset of the next anagen phase. This phase lasts for about 2 to 3 months. 2 to 3 months. Around 10 to 15% of all hair present in body are in a telogen phase. Finally, hairs fall out. Approximately 50 to 80 hairs per day are lost. This is about the